Hello and welcome to Note to File, a clinical research podcast.
A collection of interviews, candid commentary, and general nonsense for the clinical research community.
Check us out at notetofilepodcast.com.
And now, without further ado, on to the
show. Hey guys, welcome to another Note to File live. I don't even know what to call this.
Sticky notes.
Yeah, it's sticky notes. I know. Came up with going through all the trouble of coming up with the cutesy name for it. Might as well
gotta use it.
Use it. It's a fair point. It is November 25th. Obviously, week of Thanksgiving, where nothing apparently happens.
So I don't know about you. That has not been my experience this week. My week has been an absolute clusterfuck. So
well, you work in a corporate hellscape, and completely different situation altogether. At the site level, I feel like, well, I'll say this: the holidays are like a double-edged sword. Either like everyone is ignoring you, everybody needs something done before, end of year deadline. So you're either kind of getting ghosted or you're being harassed constantly.
Well, it's like I feel like it's like we have people are trying to fit a full week's worth of work into like 2.5, 3 days. But yeah, no, I think Steve Wimmer put a post about this. It's the circle back after the holiday season, which, gosh, man, one of my faves, one of my favorite seasons.
The holiday season? One of your favorite seasons?
I am a sucker for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but the circle back after the holiday season, like people send emails, be like, yeah, you know what? Let's circle back on that after the holidays, which then absolutely, totally fucks me in January. Yeah. But for now,
I start doing that in like late August. So put everything off until
4th of July, Labor Day.
I mean,
Halloween.
There's a lot of holidays. There are a lot of holidays out there, and there's a lot of circling back that needs to be done. So,
of course.
Oh, very good.
Obviously, I was gonna say, do you have any plans for Thanksgiving?
Giving thanks, obviously.
Oh, okay.
What about you?
Normal ship, family, kids, turkey.
Yeah,
the usual.
That's what Thanksgiving is.
Parades.
Eating a regrettable amount of food. Parades?
Yeah, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. I mean, I don't participate in a parade.
That never was like a thing for me. Like, I never really cared about a bunch of stupid balloons or whatever. I know it's a thing.
Loved it. I don't know.
It is beloved, I suppose, but I never really understood the appeal of like standing around in like miserably cold weather while stupid balloons go over your head.
So I've never attended. I've never had. So I feel like it's one of those things, probably similar to like Times Square, like New Year's Eve type stuff, where like it's one of those things where like I have no desire to ever do any of that in person, but like absolutely will curl up on a couch with a blanket and watch that shit.
Watch other people,
right? Because it's always raining, looks cold. Like no, I will not. But I like watching it. I like having it on the background. Very, I don't know, nostalgic.
Fair. All right. Well, I know people love to hear our opinions about holidays.
Parades. A whole episode about parades.
Right. So the 6 viewers who are watching have probably tuned out by now. But let's talk about clinical research, I guess. I'll say this too. Like we try to like somewhat obviously find decent curated stuff to talk about. Oftentimes we're not doing it until like the morning of the show. But like, I don't know, it's interesting how much gets written week to week about clinical trials. And I thought this was particularly interesting from Jim Cremidas, who I did interview. Were you part of this yet?
I was traveling that week, gotcha. So I was not able to be on.
Anyways, I know, he's a big part of Association of Multi-Site Research Corporations, a terrible name. And they met at, I think this is like a typo, right? It's not Innovative Network Groups, Innovation Network Gathering, right?
Yes, that is correct.
I was making sure that I wasn't completely wrong. Anyways, he's right, though. Why site relationships with sponsors and CROs must evolve now. I think this is something I don't know about you, I keep seeing time and time again. At these conferences, and oftentimes, it came up a lot during Viva Summit.
Yeah, I think it's taking the concept of like site centricity, which has been like a tagline, a branding, marketing exercise everyone's talking about is we're site centric. But I think it's finally more taking like the idea, and people are trying to like, how do you make that actionable? Besides saying we're site centric, we care about sites. What does that mean? And so it's like
Oh,
the next layer of like, what is the relationship then?
yeah,
How do
yeah.
we?
And I don't, so site centricity is great. We're all feel good about ourselves, pat ourselves on the back. But like ultimately, isn't it just better? Like, isn't it better business to like have a better, like repeatable, longer term relationship with sites? Like,
Yes. So I will stand by this
you're
till the
about, uh,
I was gonna say I'll stand by this till the day I die. I think generally the right thing to do, ultimately in the long term, is the better business practice. This is another example of that, where it's like it may not be the quick win if you're looking for a quick exit or a quick payout from something. It's not necessarily going to be what you care about, but long term, like absolutely, this is going to make you stronger, better, more efficient, more effective, and a better business.
yeah, and that's why I've struggled to understand why we haven't seen more, because you would think it would save everyone time and money and get drugs to market faster. And you know, this isn't like a such a unique industry that we couldn't probably take the lessons and standardization and other things that have come across from other industries and apply those in somewhat of a way that makes a lick of damn sense. But yet we've not done that.
Well, I mean, and I think this is where I think the I don't know if it's turnover, if it's like the fundamental business models, but you have too many people who are too short-sighted, where like they're not planning on being in a company or improving a company for 5 years down the line or 7 years down the line or seeing that long-term like ROI pay off. There's no like, I do this, I make more money in the next 6 months. My fiscal quarter is better. My fiscal year is better, even. I spend money. That's a cost. I'm not seeing immediate returns. So I deprioritize it. And I think that's kind of where I've seen this fall down is that, and then I don't know why. I don't know if there's just too much turnover or people are too short-sighted and they don't care about the long-term success of what they're doing. But that's, I don't know. That's where it
Yeah,
falls
and I don't
down.
know if turnover is right, but it's, I mean, that certainly contributes. I think it's just more the silo fragmentation, right? That's so, again, working as a site, it's frustrating to work with a sponsor because I work with a sponsor. You would think like, great, I have a relationship with this sponsor now. Well, no, you don't. You have a relationship with this like sub therapeutic area within, in which there are like 20 other people covering different therapeutic areas. So you've only got like a piece of it. You've got a relationship, but it's only a tiny portion, of what might actually be of some value to both you and the sponsor or CRO or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And none of those people oftentimes don't know who the other one is, or there's no. And I will tell you this: I've gotten on with some great sponsors who will they're like, we're going to get five different therapeutic leads on the phone. And they'll have a call, and it's great. The downside is like sometimes I think those people are a little too high, and then nothing happens
They're too
afterwards.
removed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
To like impact it. What's interesting, so like obviously at Vivo, our market segment spans sponsors and sites. And it's fascinating because you see the business also change in that like perspective too. If you're selling the offerings into sponsors, the business side of things operates and commercializes completely differently than when you're selling to sites. So you're selling to sites like I'm selling you, it's much more like holistic. Like I'm a site and I'm buying all the things and I want the things. But if you're
yeah,
selling
yeah.
to a sponsor, like different groups are doing clinical operations, clinical data, like it's again silos within those groups. So it's like even from a vendor perspective, you start mirroring some of that too, which has just been an interesting to see. I happen to sit on the site side, so I'm always like, come together, everyone, like be
Yeah,
together. But
right.
it's just, it makes sense because you can't, just, they
I do
operate
get it
so
though.
differently.
I did read something from, and maybe it was like a recap of, I think it was Dirk Arts, like recap of CNS, and something, of course, he was talking about that involved vendors and how, like, I can understand in fairness why you might need 2 to 3 vendors for any one solution because they do different things
Hmm.
differently.
Yeah.
And so again, that's extremely frustrating from the site side where you've got a sponsor who's got systems, and you're doing another study with the same sponsor and using 6 entirely different systems.
But the protocol could be
and again, the
varied.
capabilities or the
Yeah.
intricacies of that particular study call for a different system. So,
well, I mean, we see that on the academic side though too, right? Where it's like you have academics running IITs and they need an EDC for their trial, and they have a toolkit where they have Viva, they have Rave, they have RedCap, right? Like, and so it's like depending on the trial and depending on what they need, they'll right size the solution and they'll pick a different one. And like,
don't say right size. Is that part of the Viva corporate handbook? Words like right size.
Shut up. I'm gonna just get like a little book of corporate speak and just start using it excessively. Just
I'm gonna get like a bell, and every time someone says a word that like annoys the hell out of me, I'm just gonna go ding, and then it's okay. We don't have to acknowledge it. We can keep going. But I just wanted to be there for the record.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Anyways, this is not going away, and I think it's a valid question. I'm curious to see how that continues to evolve as people continue to, make us think about it.
Well, to circle back on that, to really like pull it, I think it's interesting that we're finally seeing like, what'd you do?
Downside of officing next to a hospital. So sorry guys, you're not hearing. No one's coming to arrest you.
It's the police. What are you hiding, Brad?
I'll never tell.
But what I was saying is interesting that you're seeing like people are coming to the table and actually having these conversations and trying to like action things. So like it's progress. I don't know what it's gonna look like, but it's progress.
In fairness, like when you talk to sponsors at like a person to person level, they want that too. But, yeah, it's again, we'll figure it. Well, we probably won't, but that's okay.
But we'll make incremental progress enough to just give us a little bit of hope.
Yeah, we'll go with that. All right, we'll move on. Next one. This one's yours.
Yeah. Well, this is like is we talked about this briefly last week because I think about a week ago there was a study that came out in JAMA about the impact of the NIH funding, but I thought this one was particularly interesting where it talks about like what trials were impacted by it. So I mean, like we could link the post here, but I think I thought it was insightful because it breaks down the trials in a couple different ways to say like the status of the trials, so like actively recruiting, open yet, like sort of thinking about like the impact of these as opposed to just like broadly saying 1 in 30 trials and 74,000 participants. Like what does that mean? So it's completed. Is that what is the impact on patients is different, right, than like recruiting or active.
Yeah, and that's a lot of recruiting trial. I mean, I don't know, the completed kind of is confusing, I guess, but it's a lot of recruiting trials.
Yeah, or active but not yet recruiting. But yeah, it's a good chunk. And then you think it goes down and continues to break it down to look at, primary condition, which I also think too, like that's a lot of oncology trials.
Yeah.
But
that's okay. We don't really need to treat people with cancer, right?
And like it used to be, like curing cancer was pretty fucking bipartisan.
Yeah, you would think that would be something that everyone could agree on.
In theory. And yet, here we are. But I don't know, I just think it's interesting sort of as it thinks down and like things, what else does it look at? There's like another infographic, I think, that talks about like the primary purpose. So like what they're like looking to try to accomplish with that, like treatments or procedures, etc. So again, a lot of them are interventional.
Yeah, right. Presumably people who had to quit treatment.
So it'd be interesting to see the cross section, and I'm sure it's there somewhere. I'm not probably in this article, but like the cross section of active recruiting, treatment, like where like that matrix sits to sort of see like impact,
the Venn diagram.
Yeah, of like patients who are actively receiving a treatment for oncology that were cut. Like, what is that breakdown? But regardless, I thought this was an interesting way to look at it, and regardless of how you slice it, it's still pretty fucking impactful.
Still not ideal.
Yeah. So a cool one. I thought it was a good way of like looking at it. I thought it was interesting. So out there, if folks want to take a look, we can share the link out.
Yeah, we'll do that because I think it is worth looking into, and probably to your point, probably some other ways to slice that data up that might be interesting. But You know, private equity has kind of become a hot topic on at least this podcast.
Well, we may have opinions on that. We may dabble in opinions.
Nah.
I thought this one was interesting. We've talked about this. It's not a surprise that like this is out there, right? Like we've seen this coming in across clinical trials space, across pharma R&D, like how private equity is coming into the space. I thought this was an interesting article. It sort of like summarized a lot of the pieces. And I thought it was fascinating where it like pulled, I don't know, like 60 some companies and then like listed out who the current owners are and what sector they're in.
Yeah.
Because you can start seeing some of that, right? Like overlay.
Yeah, I mean that is interesting. And you'll see a lot of these companies popping up over and over again.
Yeah.
Some of these same investment groups.
Which I mean, it makes a lot of sense though. And they talk about it in here and like why the space is primed for it. And it makes total sense if you see PE firms making moves like that because they talk about like how it's very fragmented. And so folks are looking to how do you consolidate. In consolidation, you find synergies and redundancies and that you can, through integration efforts,
and
reduce costs.
I don't know. Maybe
right?
maybe that is the like potential. And again, that's what people say. Maybe that's potential silver lining is maybe they do figure out. I mean, I'm not convinced that that's really going to be the play here, but maybe they do. Maybe they figure out how to like make it a little less fragmented.
Yeah, I think the issue being is that the goal isn't to make it less fragmented. Fragmented is the how that they're increasing profits. So like if we reduce fragmentation, our goal isn't to make it less fragmented to make it less fragmented. The goal is to make it less fragmented to increase revenue.
Right. And if it doesn't, then there's really no reason to defragment, right? I mean, it's possible that being fragmented is of value.
Potentially. I mean, I think it's interesting because you see a lot of these same investment firms investing across different companies where again, are they looking to consolidate at some points across their portfolios or I don't know. But again, I think it talks a little bit about, other indications, the article that we covered, right, from the New York Times. But they also said like
expanding into IRBs in general.
Yeah, I mean, like you see a couple of them in that list up at the top. It also talks specifically about how sites are becoming a target for PE, which I thought was interesting. Like private equity is like one of the first things I kind of mentioned is talking about how like sites are now becoming a prime target with that, which, I mean, are you seeing that? I mean, we've seen in some spaces where you're seeing consolidation of these massive conglomerate site networks. Is that, it looks like
I think it's
continuing.
I feel like it's been going on for a while now. Like it's not new. And I don't know. I mean, I see, again, it's probably whatever spam, but like I get emails, multiple emails every week that are like, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so with so-and-so capital. We're looking at sites, or I'm with a family office and we're looking to invest and we care about you. We
of course
want everyone to be
deeply care about you.
Yeah, I know. So no, and I mean, I hear the same thing from other site owners and there was at SCRS, I believe there was like a whole, couple of talks about like basically like when to pursue PE as a site or sort of how to potentially go about that. So, people want to make money. Shocking.
Yeah. And I think, they sort of closed the article as an interesting point, but it comes back to this, like it tracks through, and I know we've talked about this before, but it tracks through the concept of care delivery and like, what's the impact? Like it is not a positive for patients and care delivery in these scenarios. Like it doesn't like higher patient costs. It's, I don't know, just it doesn't align with like the goal of clinical trials is to find innovative treatments. The goal of healthcare delivery is to deliver care to patients. It becomes muddy when you start saying, well, the goal is to make my private equity firm money. So therefore, what's going to get sacrificed? Is it the innovation and the patient care?
Surely not.
Surely not. It's, but I mean, like you're hard pressed to find a lot of boards who are going to be like, no. We'll take the loss. This is great for innovation.
Yeah, right. As long as we're doing something good for the people. Right.
So I think, I mean, I'm sure, and there are, like, not to say that there aren't VCs and PEs that do are more mission driven. Holistically, that is not what you see play out. So it'll be interesting to see how this affects the industry.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell, and it'll keep playing out. But I mean, this already is a pretty big list, and I'm sure it's not all inclusive. I mean, this is what,
I know it's not
56
inclusive.
companies.
Like,
Yeah,
I
I
was
mean, you
looking through it,
don't.
and I see companies that I know are missing.
Yeah. So yeah, people are throwing around money. So you know what? Go out there and get paid. Research sites. Who cares?
There you go. Just make the money.
And then lastly, we'll end with something on Reddit because it always cracks me up. And it also kind of circles back to the very first. It kind of circles back to the first thing we
Gonna
talked
bring it
about
full
today.
circle.
That's right. Because I definitely planned that. Just somebody out there asking if there's a centralized user-friendly location where PIs can find, trials, which if you work at a site, is a hilarious question because there's not. There's a series of, everyone's got their own database you can submit to, and who God knows what happens to that data. You might be chasing down MSLs or reps that are coming into a clinic. You might have a relationship with someone at a sponsor or CRO. The responses are kind of funny too. I mean, obviously, first person is just like, no.
This would be too efficient for this industry.
Yeah, right.
Oh no.
Also, it's important to listen to anything that someone named Foreskin Enjoyer has to say. But yeah, I mean, it's the same stuff you see that gets trotted out. And then honestly, what makes me laugh, and this is something I've seen discussed, someone, where does it go? Oh yeah, this person. This is what a lot of sites do. They go to clinicaltrials.gov and look, you can sort. It's a terrible platform, but you can at least sort by like studies that aren't recruiting or planned to recruit. You can sort of see, maybe where sites are. Technically, there should be like a contact. Big companies tend to use these like generic boxes. Yeah, I mean, big companies will have these generic boxes that aren't worth it, but like smaller sponsors, will oftentimes give you a real human to talk to. And frankly, like I spent a lot of time doing this when I started, was crawling clinicaltrials.gov.
I was going to ask, how do you do this? Like, how do you at your site?
Yeah, I mean, again, sometimes I don't know. Frankly, there's a lot of outreach, like a lot of it's inbound. So like doctors do get contacted about clinical trial opportunities. Unfortunately, doctors are oftentimes the worst people to send that to. So if you're lucky and you have a doctor you have a good relationship with who actually checks their email, who actually knows what it is that they're receiving and who to send it to, they'll forward those along. And look, these doctors, they got reps coming in. They speak for, some of these companies. They know generally, like, have some connection. So that's extremely common, and then the rest is once you get working with a sponsor or CRO, oftentimes you start getting that outreach like automatically when a new trial opportunity.
You're like in their database and for whatever
I still
etc.
couldn't really tell you like the rhyme or reason, like when you do and when you don't, or why you do or why you don't. I once sat on a phone with this big sponsor, one of the biggest sponsors out there, and they were showing me or attempting to show me like how they look at, metrics from a site to determine whether they would reach out to you. And he was looking at that in real time and showing them to me. And he's like, yeah, we saw that you did this and this. So, this was 5 years ago. We wouldn't reach out to you again because of your performance. And I'm like, yeah, but you just did. We just got 3 study awards from you. So what are you talking about? So I'm not convinced that sponsors even know themselves what the hell they're doing.
That's kind of where I was. Or when they try to outsource it to the CROs to say like, hey, you do site. I mean, back in the day when I was working patient recruitment side of things at Haystack at the startup I was at, we would like do patient recruitment, and we started like coming back up the chain to be like, we're doing patient recruitment, but the sites you selected, there's no patients within 120 miles. of this site. So like, how did you
Mhm.
do this site selection? That's your issue. And so it's like kept going up, like further upstream. It's like, well, we can't find the patients because you picked the wrong sites. And then it comes back to, we're not going to find the patients because your protocol design is shit. So like, how
Right.
any of it was just, I'm convinced that no one really knows how they're doing it.
Well, again, I mean, you start getting all the fragmentation. Nobody knows. Everyone's siloed. So you're not like, there's not somebody to stop and be like, wait a minute, this doesn't quite line up,
Yeah.
or something doesn't fit correctly here. But anyway, I thought it was interesting. I've seen, I think, Robert Goldman, who I've also seen complain about sites who reach out cold via clinicaltrials.gov. But the truth is, like, if you're a site, all we do is complain about how, like, oh, there's not enough patients in trials, there's not enough doctors doing clinical research. Then don't be a jerk. If like I reach out because I want to get involved, because I want my doctor or my patient to have access to trials, it's fine. If you want to ignore it or whatever, you get mad at it, it's fine. But I feel like it's really silly. Like, we can't have it both ways, right? Like,
Well, I mean, but it's to that earlier point though, like you're reaching out to get involved and there's no process or structure in place for
yeah,
how they even handle it. So it's like screaming into the void, right? Like,
yeah. Or it's
but
easy to say, like, no, sorry, we aren't respecting new sites. Here, fill out this form so you can go in our database. We see that happen, like, with some
sometimes,
regularity. But yeah, if you're a site, you're very much like on your own. This is
which
why you see such a market for like BD companies,
there's like
brokers as they're
technology people who
referred.
are like trying to build, like to your point, like build their own databases to say like, oh,
Mhm.
sites join our database and we'll get you trials. It's almost like they're trying to act as like a site network or site SMO for that
A
small.
little, yeah, a little bit of like, there are some companies that are, positioning themselves more as like marketplaces for
Yeah.
sites and sponsors to connect, which I don't think is a terrible idea. I don't know, I know Inato is a company that's done that. I
Mhm.
don't really know where they are on that, or if they've pivoted more into some of the AI patient matching type stuff. I don't know, but
Yeah.
like, conceptually, it's not a bad idea. Again, I don't know.
I mean, in theory, it should be something like clinicaltrials.gov, which is a central national, not private corporate, like entity that says, great, this is like like, I mean, it's clinicaltrials.gov, but like force submissions earlier. I don't know.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
force it either. And like the counter argument I know is going to be, well, there's proprietary information that
Yeah,
I'm so concerned about in the pharmacy.
yeah, I just don't. I mean, I get it, but also, like, it would be one thing if it was working so great, and like you are a sponsor that's like, all my studies enroll early. We have too many patients, so I don't want to like give away my secrets. No, you all are struggling.
Mhm.
So again, like, just you might as well open it up and see if it helps everybody. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Maybe if private equity just buy it, the same companies buy everybody, then it won't matter anymore.
I feel like this is heading towards a very dystopian future if we go down this route.
I mean, yeah,
Oh no, no.
we'll see. We shall see. All right. Well, you got anything else?
No, next week, after Thanks. So we're obviously ain't gonna be doing this on Thursday because I'm stuffing myself with turkey. But next week, we have a couple scheduled. Susanna Fox is coming on. I'm really excited about that one. Author of Rebel Health, worked for HHS for a while. So some really cool background and really cool perspective, more so on the healthcare side of things, but excited to have her on and chat. So that's next Thursday, I believe.
Okay. Very good. Hope you guys all have a nice Thanksgiving. And we'll see you next time.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for listening to Note to File. We're committed to continuing to bring you independent and unfiltered coverage of the clinical trial industry.
We want to talk about what you want to hear. So if you have something on your mind, hit us up at notetofilepodcast.com.